Installation of this rooftop tent is actually relatively simple. So while this package is large and it may seem like a daunting task, you're not going to need a lot of tools, but you may need an extra pair of hands. All right, first thing we're going to do is open it up and check for our hardware. It's actually inside the tent. So we've got our ladder, our cover, our ladder channel, instructions, all inside here. Here's the channel, ladder, cover, hardware, rain fly rods. That looks to be everything. So we're gonna locate our hardware bags and we're gonna inventory those. We've got our full 12-volt accessory kit that we'll get to later. We've got our mounting hardware for the tent and the ladder. Let's take a look at the hardware. So we've got 8mm bolts and 6mm bolts and nuts and washers. Your 8mm hardware is going to be used with this bracketry to install the tent to the cargo rack or the roof rack or whatever else you're actually clamping the tent to. The 6mm hardware is going to be used for the mounting rails on the bottom of the tent, as well as the hinges for the ladder. So we've got 6 for the mounting rails, 4 for the hinges in the 6mm, and we've got 8 for the mounting hardware in the 8mm. To install the mounting rail to the bottom of the tent, we're going to reach in, remove the mattress from the floor of the tent. We're going to take our 6mm bolt with washer and bring it through the hole in the floor, like so. Then we're going to take our lock nut. We're going to slide it into the channel of the rail. Line it up with the hole. And we're going to take that and position it so that we can line the bolt up and get that started. We're going to do that 2 more times on this rail and 3 more times on the other. Did you see how I did that? Come here, I'll show you. So I've got the lock nut. Make sure you've got it in the correct position. You're going to slide it into the channel. If you can see past my fingers. You're going to bring it down to the slot in the rail here. And then I'm reaching in with the bolt, passing it through the floor of the tent and catching the lock nut. Take your 6mm socket on a ratchet, tighten it up. You don't have to hold that because the channel holds it. Get it snug. And that's going to be it. We'll do the same for the other. We'll be ready to set it up on the rack. Now that the mounting rails are installed to the bottom of the tent, we're going to install the hardware to mount the tent to the rack. It's going to slide into the rails just like this, and I'll show you how to set that up over on the bench. All right, so we've got our brackets that slide into the channel, and we've got our 8mm bolts. And what we need to do is take the bolt itself and install it into the bracket. Now this is going to be an interference fit so the bolt doesn't spin. The tolerances are really tight, so what I like to do is put the bolt into the bracket and set both of those on a nice big socket and just give it a couple of lev taps with a dead blow hammer. That's going to seat your bolt into your bracket. Make sure that it doesn't spin when you tighten it down, and you won't have to worry about it. Now that we've got the mounting brackets and bolts assembled, we're going to go ahead and slide those into the rails on the mounting rail. And these are just going to slide right in place. I'm going to take them down to about where I think I need them to be. They work in pairs, so 2 on each end, and then I'm going to install the rubber end cap back onto the rail. Now that we've got the tent in place on the rack, we'll go ahead and get the hardware, slide the bolts into the proper location, mount the brackets, and the tent will be secure to the cargo rack. And here's another example where you only want to hand tighten the hardware, and then we're gonna verify that the tent's centered on the cargo rack, and then we'll go around and tighten in a bit of a pattern. We don't wanna crank one corner all the way down and then move on to the next one. We'll snug one corner up, snug the next one, so on, getting a little tighter each time until we've gotten it to where we want it to be. So now that the tent is secured to the overland cargo rack, one of the last things we need to do is secure the ladder to the tent. We've got the hinges as well as the hardware right here. We're gonna go ahead, bolt that ladder up to the tent, then we can fold it out and show you just how easy it is to deploy. So we're gonna take our 6mm hardware and we're going to feed it in through the bottom of the tent, which is technically the top right now, up like so. We're going to place our hinge on there and secure it with washer and nut. All right, we've got the hinges installed. Let me hop down and get the ladder. We'll get it installed. What's that ladder doing there? So you're going to want to make sure that your ladder has the correct orientation before you climb back up to install it. If this is the top of the tent as it sits right now, we're going to want the hinge mounts at the bottom facing the hinges and the release knobs pointing up. All right, with the ladder in place, we're going to install it by slipping a flat washer, then a nylon washer on the bolt. We're going to put the bolt through the hinge and then through the other nylon washer, through the mount on the ladder, and finally flat washer and lock nut. This is going to ensure that any of these moving parts here have nylon between them. All right. So with the ladder in place, we're going to add the flat washer to the bolt, then the nylon washer. We're going to put that through the hinge, then through the second nylon washer. Now you're not going to crank these down. They have to be snug, but they have to be a movable hinge also. So we're going to get them nice and snug to where this isn't flopping around, but we're not going to crank them down so much that we can't swing our ladder out. All right, while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and unlatch the tent in preparation for deployment. With the tent unfolded, we've got a couple of more steps to finalize it. I'm going to go ahead and get the rainfly rods in place, and then we'll talk about the 12-volt accessory kit. So these are our rainfly tension rods. I've already got some installed on the tent. I'll show you how I did that. It's pretty straightforward. Direct line of fire. Well, there it goes. All right. That's gonna keep this nice and taut. You can also hook the outer door to it if you wanna keep it up to get air through, or you can roll the outer door up and secure it with the tie downs. This is gonna be the same for the side windows as well as the back window. All right, with that, the last thing to go over is the 12-volt accessory kit. Let's get it unpacked and take a look. So we've got our power outlet adapter. We've got our LED light. Got our extension cable for the LED light. And we've got an extension cable for the power adapter. So essentially, plug this into your power adapter, run it all the way to the tent, or excuse me, you'll plug this into your outlet, run it all the way into the tent, plug the adapter in there, and you can go straight into the LED light. Or if your vehicle has USB connectivity, you can skip these, plug this straight into your USB connectivity of your vehicle, run it up to the tent, and then plug in your LED light. All right, so I've got our power outlet cord plugged into our 12-volt outlet on the dash. I'm gonna run it, you can run it any way you want to. I'm gonna run it up and out of the rear passenger door. Our access flap is here. I'm gonna feed it through, and then I'll get in the tent and pull it. Close the door. So now we've got 12 volts running straight to the tent that we can use for the LED light that we supplied to charge your cell phone or any other accessory you want to add that runs on 12 volts. All right, I'll show you how the LED light installs. So it's encased in a nice clear pouch and it's Velcroed on the back. It's designed to Velcro right up here. So that's a wrap on the installation of the Rough Country rooftop tent. The installation is simple, the deployment is quick and easy. Don't let the size of the product deter you. It really is simple to install. And I've said it once and I'll say it again, if you're camping in the Rough Country rooftop tent, you're always gonna be above the competition. This tent sheds new light on your camping game. Check it out and get yours today.